Okay, let's jump into the next question. We're talking about the B Corp journey. What are the most common changes a company needs to make to be able to be certified?
It's a great question, Julia, and one that I get on a pretty regular basis. So I thought I would share some of those changes with you. I'll just step you through the most common one and then we'll go in, I'll illustrate with a few examples on the slides. So the first is around policies and practices, being able to demonstrate and show that you have the policies in place to support the things that you say you do as an organisation. Second is around data gathering and tracking your metrics. Do you record the things that you need to be able to, again, demonstrate that you're having the impact that your organisation is aiming for? Thirdly is around infrastructure changes, and we'll talk to that one a little more in a minute. Fourth is reviewing your vendors and getting to know and understand your suppliers. And fifth is being able to have a mission-aligned governance structure, which can take a little bit of change for an organisation as well. So if you're able to flick to those slides, we'll talk to those in a little bit more detail. Thank you. As you can see on the left-hand side, one of the questions for under the environment section is on environmental management systems. Does your company have an environmental management system that includes any of the following? And as with all of the questions on this, the very top question on this is the minimum that you would need to achieve for this question. And the second last question around periodic compliance and auditing to evaluate programs would give you a much higher level of points in terms of the assessment. And you can see just in the right-hand corner of that question, the particular answer that is selected on this is that there's a policy in place, and that gets 0.42 out of 2.11. So you can see that there's lots of opportunity to improve even further. And that's where one of the biggest changes can come in for an organisation, is how to take it from being purely a policy through to how do we have a holistic system in place that allows us to know that we're compliant, we've got regular auditing done, we know how we're evaluating these programs, we've got resources that are allocated to it to help us understand this, and we know what our targets are. So it's a big change, taking it from simply being something on a piece of paper through to clearly demonstrated practices. The other example on the right-hand side of the slide is around facility energy efficiency and nominating which of the following systems you've used around your energy conservation and efficiency in your facility. So this is where the infrastructure comes in. It's fine if you're working in a building that's brand new and all of this is built in as part of the building standards, but a lot of organisations are not, or if they're looking at going down that journey, how do you ensure that the place that you base your business incorporates conservation and energy efficiency in there and really supports an environmental stance? So again, you can see there may be things that need to be installed, infrastructure changes that will result not just in cost savings, but doing the right thing for the planet. And again, different point levels depending on what you choose there and the level of that you're able to demonstrate. But again, just my word of warning with that one is if you tick something and you say that you've got timers or occupancy sensors, make sure that you can prove it. Make sure that you've got the validation there and that you have the documentation that shows that that's in place. And for other questions, that you can, over time, show the difference that that's made in your energy consumption. Because after all, that's what it's about. It's about that efficiency. Thanks, Julia. If you could switch to the next slide for me. So the other area, which was a mission-aligned governance structure, there's a few expectations there of a best practice organisation. And again, the challenge with having a governance structure is getting your board on board and having all of the financial and legal structures in place to be able to support that. So one of the questions there is that the board reviews your social and environmental performance. So if it's not something that you've ever discussed in board meetings before or that's ever been raised as something that you're focusing on, that could be an entirely new conversation with your board. So back earlier in the session, I talked to the importance of having your leadership team and your board on board with becoming a B Corp, but it's an important part of engaging them along the way that they're actively looking at it. So what social and environmental measures have you got in place that allow you to evaluate that performance? Are you looking at it on an annual basis? Have you got it on the agenda? That can be quite a big change for a small organisation if it's not something that they've ever had to factor in before, or a large organisation. And it will come back to, what are you measuring? How are you measuring it? How are you reporting on it? How are you communicating about it? And then how are you affecting change if it's an area that needs to change? And the other one there that I just wanted to highlight was financial transparency with employees. Does a company have a formal process to share financial information with its full-time employees? That can be a really sensitive one. And on first glance, you look at it and go, well, we're not going to give them information about how much profit we've made or what our margin has been. That's a bit too much. Best practice in terms of B Corp is creating that transparency and creating the environment where it's safe to share that, and it's done with the intention of empowering, educating and improving, not just communication, but being able to share in the win that we had fantastic sales. We've been able to contribute X amount towards some pro bono work, or we've been able to, as a result, support this not-for-profit or partner with an organisation. It could be letting them know when things are going well or not so well and the implications of that. So financial transparency means different things to different organisations, but in B Corp sense, that can be a massive leap and a massive change that a company needs to take into consideration as part of its journey. Does that answer the question for you, Julia?
That's great. Thank you very much, Leanne. A lot of detail there and some great tips for people. Thank you.